Hello, I am Matt Williamson. That's a heck of a win, folks. That is a really good football team they beat. I know that the Colts have not played the murderer's row of opponents and maybe didn't play their best game today, but the Steelers took it to them, played their style of game, backs against the wall situation, and came out with a pretty decisive win. And now, certainly I thought if the Steelers win this game, they got to win the turnover battle. But to this degree was really something to see. And I got to say, I mean, I did not foresee, giving the Steelers defense the majority of the credit for the win. But that's exactly what is deserved, in my opinion, and really encouraging. There's a lot of really excited to watch this a second time, especially the All-22, to see some things they did different, but there were some obvious changes. And let your playmakers be playmakers. And it's been a little while since we've seen that, and that's really encouraging. As I often do in this first podcast, I'm not going to go through all the halftime stats. That could be a little monotonous. I don't think it's a real huge thing. But it was 17-7 at the half. A couple things I noted were at this point, Pierce had 3 catches right off the bat for 64 yards. And I'll be honest, I thought he was set up for a big game. It was something I said in the pregame show. Frankly, I took the over on his receiving yards. I thought he was set up for, a real good mismatches in his favor. Now, it didn't get much worse than that, but still, 3 for 64 off the bat from Pierce. At this point, Taylor only had 8 carries for 23 yards at the half. You got to love that. That is huge. And at this point, too, the Steelers are winning the turnover battle 3-0. And my couple halftime notes were just takeaways, quadruple extra, exclamation points. 14 points off turnovers in the first half. Huge. Steelers didn't have a first down in the first quarter, but they had 10 in the second quarter. Obviously, I'm not saying he listened to me or listened to anyone in the media, but you could tell, and this rang true through the entire game, Tomlin was looking at it differently. Realized I got to go for it on fourth downs. I mean, there was an instance in the second half where he didn't, but I totally understood that because the situation changed. So he realized I have to be aggressive. I have to go for it on fourth downs, especially in a game like this. I wrote a big exclamation mark as well. Defensive splash is back. But then I put a little question mark, make sure that kept up, And then I put a little note too. Man, Colts were getting the ball to start the half. Expect an awful lot of Jonathan Taylor in the second half. We didn't quite see that as much. Okay, buzz through the final stats, and then I got a bunch of notes as usual. Steelers win this game 27-20. Rodgers was 25 for 35, 203 yards, touchdown, interception. But I thought he played really, really well. Jones, 31 for 50 for 342, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. And I think a big reason was, yes, he's playing really well, and there's no great way to attack this offense. But I think you want him dropping back as opposed to them handing it to Taylor. And they made that happen because Taylor only carried the ball for 14 times for 45 yards, threw in 2 catches for 12. I was a little shocked Warren didn't have more success, 16 carries for 32. He did have his 2 rushing touchdowns, and he caught 2 passes for -2 yards. Pierce ends up with 6 for 115. Pittman ends up with 9 for 115. As good as their offense has been, that's the first time they've had a 100-yard receiver all year. Steelers only end up with 17 first downs compared to 26 for the Colts. Steelers, again, third downs weren't great, 4 of 12. Colts were only 6 of 14. Steelers were 1 for 2 on fourth. Colts were 5 for 5 on fourth downs. I mean, that's a big deal. Steelers only ran 61 plays compared to 74 for the Colts and only produced 225 yards compared to 368. Colts averaged 5 yards a play, only 3.7 for the Steelers. Steelers' offensive numbers aren't great. They only ran for 38 yards, but the Colts only ran for 55. Yards per rush, 1.7 for the Steelers, but only 2.9 for the Colts. Not that one has to be the same with the other, but I think you'd concede that. It's not like whoever ran the ball better won this game. That's not how it was at all. Steelers were 3 for 6 in the red zone, but they got there 6 times. Colts were 2 for 2. Obviously, this is the stat. I mean, the Colts, 6 turnovers. Steelers only 1. That's the story. But I thought that the turnovers weren't fluky. They weren't center quarterback exchanges. They were earned by the Steelers. Steelers had 5 sacks, 3 for the Colts, and they won the time possession battle, 31-55 to 28-05. I'll take it, considering that the play differential was huge. I mean, Colts ran 13 more plays and still lost the time of possession differential. So I don't think the stats tell the story, but the 6 turnovers to 1 absolutely tells the story.
Football season's finally here. Time to check out the latest odds, futures, and win totals on the FanDuel Sportsbook. Think the Steelers are headed to the Super Bowl? Lock in your bets today. Whatever your game, FanDuel Sportsbook delivers the latest lines, futures, and specials, so you can join in on all the action.
Along those lines, Colts had 4 turnovers total coming into this game, and the Steelers caught 6. It's a great start. And I will say, and I have said, this isn't, going back on my word, these last 2 weeks, the Steelers were really close to committing to creating splash on defense. So Tom Offerman and I do the pregame show, and we were talking about how they have to lead the league in almost splash plays the last 2 weeks. I'm sure of it. But, horseshoes and hand grenades. Really good complementary football. You got to give Tomlin credit here for seeing the big picture, how to help the defense, how to slow down Taylor, make them not get into their comfort zone. And it certainly looked like a difficult environment to play in for the Colts too. They just eliminated Taylor. I mean, I can't harp on what a massive accomplishment that is and what a group accomplishment it was. I mean, it was a lot of guys getting the ball. It was dudes not getting out of their lanes. It was giving them looks to make them throw the football pre-snap. And I don't know this yet. It's hard just watching TV, especially safety play and deep safety play. But I bet Ramsey was a very stabilizing force as almost a pure free safety. I'm really excited to watch him on the All-22. Could this be a full-time move? I don't know. Can your cornerback situation afford him to be your Minka plus, I don't know. I got to give that some thought. I thought this was a great game by Cam Hayward, who they moved around a little bit more. A great game by the edge players, all 3 of them. A great game by Wilson, who I told you last week was one of the guys that played really well against Green Bay, but was easy to overlook. 2 sacks by Highsmith. One thing makes me crazy, and I think I've said this to you guys, but got to trade Highsmith. Got to trade Freiermuth. They're good players, man. They help you win. I noticed that the Colts, more often than most opponents, left TJ Watt single blocked. I think they're probably regretting that to some degree, but I found that intriguing, interesting. Again, excited to watch more of that. Here's some next-gen stats that I thought were really well, told the story as well. So Jones was pressured on a season high 18 times and was only 6 of 13 for 88 yards and 2 of his picks when he was pressured. Really good. And he did not handle it particularly well. I did not think they'd get that kind of pressure on him with this O-line. They recorded 5 sacks against Jones, including 2 strip sacks. From a clean pocket, though, he was more effective. He was 25 of 37 for 254, a touchdown and interception. So his numbers, when pressured versus not, were very noticeably different. I want to talk about Joey Porter for a minute. Had a big late interception. That was huge. But he's a little frustrating. I mean, it sure seems like he takes a penalty or 2 a game. I know it's not as much as it seems, But it just seems like, man, he is so grabby still and doesn't seem to be getting better in that regard. You'll live with it, but again, who's trustworthy at corner? I do like what Eccles has done, though. I thought this was really interesting. This is more from Next Gen. The Steelers' defense showed a significant shift in coverage tendencies, using split safety, too high safety, on a season-high 46% of their dropbacks, after entering the week with the second lowest split safety usage rate at 28%. Now, again, can't wait to watch the All-22, but I saw a lot more cover 4, which I thought was really a good approach. Not because it worked, but because it fit the personnel better. It simplified things a little bit more, some more zone stuff. Along the lines of Ramsey, I should have mentioned this before, but he aligned at a safety position for about 84% of his snaps. First time in his career, he positioned at safety over 30% of his snaps. Kyle Duggar, this is really encouraging to me. And I thought Duggar played great. Just recently traded from the Patriots, of course. Not only did he play 72 out of 76 snaps after getting here just 5 minutes ago, but I thought he played really well. Often in split coverage with Ramsey, doing some of that cover 4 stuff. But man, maybe that's your pairing. I'm also still intrigued with Peppers. I'm not ready to flush Thornhill to this point either. So I still have some more safety thoughts. Need to think this through, but I'm still encouraged by Peppers, really encouraged by Duggar, and this development with Ramsey as your free could solve a lot of problems. I thought the offense fed off the defense's, big plays, as they often do. 24 points off turnovers from the offense. You give them a short field, and they're making you pay. I thought they were very efficient on offense, even though the stats don't really back it up. They spread the ball around a lot on offense. Sure looked like they wanted to feature Washington, who could have had a bigger day statistically, but did some new things with him in the passing game. And I forget which one, the announcers, or if they quoted one of the Steelers. It might even been a Rodgers quote that basically said, the more Washington's on the field, the better we are on offense. And I've been saying that, I think, for 3 months. I mean, I couldn't agree anymore. It almost feels like he should almost never leave the field and everybody else can go from there. But I did think the balance on offense was really strong. You guys know I'm a believer in adjusted completion rate. And what that is getting the noise out of completion percentage. And by the noise, I mean spikes and throwaways and passes batted down. So Rodgers was at 82%. Now, he only averaged 2.7 air yards per attempt. That's the third lowest of any quarterback this entire year. But he was 24 of 32 for 191 and a touchdown on passes under 10 yards. Yeah, they're easier to complete. But he also only attempted 3 passes over 10 yards. Only 3. And completing 1 for 12 yards. Didn't attempt a pass over 20 yards. He makes it work, but that does make me a smidge crazy. I'll be honest with you. I thought it was a really good special teams day. I thought Waitman was excellent in this. I think they found themselves a returner that now has to be active every week, whether Austin is or not. And this is kind of a little known thing, but with Killebrew out, folks, maybe the most important non-kicker punter position in special teams is the personal protector on punt. The guy that's right kind of to the right or left of the kicker, who's like quarter of the way back, the personal protector on the punt team. Well, that's Killebrew. That is a huge responsibility. You kind of see everything. You're in charge of everything. You got to figure out who's coming, who isn't. You're calling out signals. Well, they made Skoranek the personal protector. And I saw no issues with that. But that also opened up a hole with Skoranek's position at gunner. and Eccles filled in really well. So great work by Danny Smith, great work by Skoranek, great work by Eccles, Waitman, Boz as usual. Last two things I got here, at least right after the game, Slade dislocated his finger, but he did return. I'm still not thrilled with where he is overall, but we'll see if this was better or not. Siamalu, I don't know if he re-injured his pec, but he did something to the pec that's been bothering him. Does that mean he's out for an extended stretch? I don't know. If so, we'll go down those the well we did early last week about how that affects the jumbo package. But he did not finish the game. Those are the only noticeable injury things that I got out of this game, but maybe more will pop up. And then last thing, we know the Ravens won, and they're scary. I mean, if you would have lost this game, I would have been very concerned about the division lead. But if you get a chance, pay attention to what happened in that Bengals game, and I'm going to watch some more of it. But they lost a crazy game against the Bears. And for all intents and purposes, probably eliminated them. And if I were them, I would now be selling Hendrickson or whomever. I mean, trade deadline's 2 days away. I think they're crazy if they think they're in it. So, really good day overall for the Steelers. Got the Chargers coming up. The little I saw from their game was kind of crazy too, but they lost Joe Alt again, and their right tackle got hurt, and Slater's got hurt, already. So that game, we'll get into. I'm not going to get too far ahead, but really impressive day by the Steelers defense. Love seeing the splash. Maybe more than anything, I love that the coaching staff, and Tomlin in particular, because when you say coaching staff, you really have to talk about the head coach, maybe realized some of the error in their ways the last couple weeks, or at least looked in the mirror and said, we need to change a little bit or drastically with how we're doing our approach each week. And they did. So, good. All right, everyone. Take care.